9 a.m. on a Thursday morning. My father is outside my apartment door, fists hammering like a madman, voice shaking the entire hallway, screaming my name like I'd just ruined his entire existence. Behind me? My 7-year-old daughter Ellie, standing in her pajamas, wide-eyed and terrified, clutching the Christmas drawing she made for the grandparents who forgot she existed. But here's what you need to understand: explosions like this don't just happen. They brew. They simmer. They start with one seemingly innocent text message that changes absolutely everything. And mine? Mine began the moment my mother casually wrote, "We're skipping your kid's birthday. Things are tight." What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I was about to uncover a betrayal so deep, so calculated, that by the time I was done, well, let's just say karma wore my face that day. Before we dive into this absolute chaos, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Trust me, you're going to want to be part of this community by the end. My name is Scarlett. I'm 32 years old. Single mother. Working professional. And for most of my life, I've been the family's unpaid emotional support system, financial safety net, and professional problem solver, all rolled into one convenient, never complaining package. Sounds dramatic? Maybe. But let me paint you a picture of what family meant in my world. I live in a modest apartment near the coast. Nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom with windows that let in the morning light and a small balcony where the air always smells like salt and pine. It's not the dream home I imagined as a kid, but it's mine. Mine and Ellie's. Ellie is my whole world. 7 years old, obsessed with unicorns, glitter, and drawing pictures of families that look happier than ours ever was. She's got these big, hopeful eyes, the kind that still believe people are inherently good. The kind I used to have before life taught me otherwise. Now, my parents, Howard and Linda, they're complicated. That's the polite way to say it. The honest way? They're users. Master manipulators wrapped in the language of family loyalty, and blood is thicker than water. Let me give you the highlight reel. Age 19, Dad lost his job, again. I was in university, working 2 part-time jobs. He called crying about the phone bill. I paid it. Didn't ask questions. Age 23, Mom's car insurance lapsed. Just for a few months, sweetie, until we get back on our feet. I covered it. Those few months turned into 2 years. Age 26, emergency car repairs. Emergency dental work. Emergency this. Emergency that. Every crisis landed on my doorstep with the same guilt trip attached: we raised you. Family helps family. And I helped. Over and over. Because that's what good daughters do, right? But here's the thing about being the dependable one, the quiet one, the one who always shows up: people stop seeing you as a person with needs. You become a resource. A ATM machine with a heartbeat. And the moment you stop giving? That's when you discover what you really meant to them all along. It was a Tuesday morning, completely ordinary in every way. Ellie was sitting at our kitchen table, tongue sticking out in concentration, coloring a unicorn wearing a crown. The sun was streaming through the windows. I was slicing strawberries for her lunch. Then my phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting a work email or maybe a text from Marissa, my younger sister, the favorite child, though no one ever said it out loud. Instead, it was Mom. "We're skipping your kid's birthday. Things are tight." I read it once. Then twice. Then a third time, waiting for the punchline that never came. "No, we're so sorry. No, we'll make it up to her." Just a statement. Cold. Matter of fact. Like she was declining a dinner invitation. Ellie looked up at me with those bright, hopeful eyes. "Mama, are Grandma and Grandpa coming to my birthday this year?" I felt my chest tighten. But I smiled anyway, the practiced smile I'd perfected over decades of swallowing disappointment. "I hope so, baby." I typed back, "No problem." Because what else do you say when the people who are supposed to love your child unconditionally and even bother to show up for her 7th birthday? But here's what I didn't say: it was a problem. A massive, soul-crushing problem. Because Ellie had been asking about her grandparents for weeks. She'd made them cards. She'd picked out cupcake flavors she thought they'd like. She'd even practiced showing them her new reading skills. And they couldn't even send a text on the day. I went through the rest of that week on autopilot. Smiling. Pretending. Dying inside. Ellie's birthday arrived on a Saturday. It rained, the kind of gray, heavy rain that feels like the sky is crying. She wore a little purple dress she'd picked out herself. We made cupcakes from a box mix because money was tight for us too, though apparently not tight enough to warrant my parents' concern. I set up a picnic blanket in our living room since the rain made the park impossible. We played her favorite songs. Invited 2 school friends whose parents were kind enough to drop them off and stay for a bit. Ellie smiled. She laughed. She danced. But I saw it, the way her eyes kept drifting to the door. The way she'd pause mid-sentence, listening for a knock that never came. When her friends left and the apartment grew quiet again, she walked over to the table. Picked up one of the cupcakes. Stared at the single candle I'd saved just for her. Maybe next year, she whispered. She didn't cry. Kids are resilient like that, especially when they don't want to make their parents feel worse. But I cried. Later. After she fell asleep. I sat on the bathroom floor and let every ounce of rage, heartbreak, and exhaustion pour out of me. That was the first crack in my armor. But I wasn't broken yet. Fast forward to Christmas. A few months later, but feeling like a lifetime. Ellie woke up at dawn in her red pajamas, clutching a drawing she'd made for Howard and Linda. Two grandparents holding hands with a little girl between them. A tiny heart floating above their heads. She sat by the window. Waiting. Legs tucked under her. Humming softly like she was trying to keep hope alive through sheer willpower. I made hot cocoa. Checked my phone every 10 minutes. Pretended I wasn't checking. Noon came. Then 2 p.m. Then 3 p.m. Not a call. Not a text. Not even a Merry Christmas sent by accident. Just silence. Maybe they're busy, baby, I said, my voice hollow. Ellie nodded. But her shoulders dropped in that devastating way that children have when they're relearning the world is crueler than they thought. When she finally drifted off to watch a movie, I opened my laptop. And that's when I saw it. The post that would change everything. My mother's Facebook page. Public. For the whole world to see. A Christmas tree towering over their living room, so tall it nearly touched the ceiling. Mountains of wrapped presents spilling across the floor. Balloon arches, actual balloon arches, twisting over the doorway like this was some kind of Instagram influencer's holiday spread. My sister Marissa's kids, 3 of them, tearing into gifts like it was a scene from a commercial. Designer toys. Electronics. Things I could never afford. And there was my mother. Center frame. Holding a glitter-covered box. Smiling so wide her eyes had nearly disappeared into her cheeks. The caption? So blessed to be with our favorite little ones. Hashtag family first, hashtag Christmas magic, favorite. That word hit me like a freight train. Not all our grandkids. Not our family. Favorite. Casual. Thoughtless. True. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. Things were tight? Things were tight? I scrolled down. The comments were full of relatives gushing about how wonderful Howard and Linda were. How generous. How loving. Meanwhile, their other granddaughter, my Ellie, sat 20 miles away with a homemade cupcake and a drawing no one would ever see. I didn't realize Ellie had walked up behind me until I felt her small hand on my arm. She saw the screen. Saw the balloons. Saw the joy she wasn't part of. Her face went still, too still for a 7-year-old. They forgot me again, didn't they, Mama? I opened my mouth. No words came out. I pulled her close, but she stayed stiff in my arms, staring at those bright, happy faces on the screen. That was the moment I stopped being their doormat. That was the moment Scarlett the Fixer died, and someone much, much scarier was born. I spent the rest of Christmas Day moving through the apartment like a ghost. Reheated leftovers. Folded laundry. Answered work emails I didn't actually read. Ellie painted at the table, gold and navy swirling together until the colors blurred. Every so often, she'd glance toward the window, then back down, her little fists clenching. Later that night, after she fell asleep on the couch, I sat alone in the dim hallway light. The quiet wasn't peaceful. It was oppressive, pressing against my chest, reminding me of every sacrifice I'd made, every boundary I'd let them cross, every time I'd put myself last because family needs you. And for what? A skipped birthday. A silent Christmas. A daughter learning that love is conditional and she didn't meet the conditions. Something inside me didn't crack. It aligned. A sharp, clean line between who I'd been and who I was going to become. I woke up the morning after Christmas with a clarity I'd never felt before. Calm. Focused. Dangerous. I made coffee. Checked on Ellie, still asleep, clutching her painting. Then I opened my laptop. Not for work. Not to scroll social media. I opened my bank account. And there they were, years of automatic payments staring back at me like a paper trail of my own stupidity. Howard's phone plan, $85 per month. Linda's phone plan, $85 per month. Their car insurance, $340 per month. Their gym membership, $60 per month, they never went, by the way. Their streaming services, $45 per month. Emergency fund transfers, anywhere from $200 to $800, whenever they called crying. I did the math. $40,000. Money I could have saved for Ellie's future. For a bigger apartment. For literally anything other than funding their lifestyle while they played favorites. My hand hovered over the mouse. Not from fear. From realization. I've been doing this to myself. Then, one by one, I clicked cancel. Phone plan? Gone. Insurance? Gone. Gym membership? Gone. Emergency fund? Closed. By the time the sun fully rose, every single financial tie I had to Howard and Linda had been severed. No angry phone call. No dramatic confrontation. Just silence. Cold. Surgical. Final. If they couldn't show up for my daughter, they didn't get to live off my bank account. It took less than 24 hours for the panic to start. My phone buzzed around 10 a.m. the next morning. Not Howard. Not Linda. Marissa. Scarlett. Dad's losing his mind. Mom's crying. Everything got shut off. Did you do something? Her voice wasn't accusatory. It was tired. Knowing. The voice of someone who'd seen this coming for years. I'm done, I said simply. That's all. Long pause. Then, good. It's about damn time. I actually laughed. A real, genuine laugh. Marissa had always been the favorite, the golden child who could do no wrong. But she wasn't blind. She'd watched them use me for years. She'd just never said anything because it was easier not to. They're going to come after you, she warned. You know that, right? Let them, I said. And I meant it. The rest of that week was blissfully quiet. I cleaned the apartment. Played with Ellie. Cooked actual meals instead of reheating leftovers. For the first time in years, I felt light, like I'd put down a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying. Ellie noticed too. Mama, you're smiling more, she said one evening, leaning against me on the couch. Am I? Yeah. I like it. I like it too, baby. I helped her organize her new books on the shelf. She didn't mention Howard and Linda. Didn't ask why they never called. She just said, quietly, I like when it's just us. And I realized something profound. This quiet life, without chaos, without guilt, without people who only showed up when they needed something, this was what she deserved all along. But I knew it wouldn't last. People like Howard don't just accept consequences. They explode. And at exactly 9 a.m. the following Thursday, he did. The pounding started like gunfire. Boom. 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 Sharp. Furious. Rattling the door frame so violently I thought he'd break through. Ellie nearly dropped her cereal bowl. I pulled her behind me, my heart pounding but my hand steady. Scarlett. Open this door. Now. Howard's voice tore through the hallway, loud enough that I heard Mrs. Chin from 3B crack her door open, then quickly slam it shut again. I took a slow, deliberate breath. Unlocked the door. Opened it exactly 1 inch. Howard's face filled the gap. Red. Wild. Veins bulging in his neck. The kind of rage that comes from a man who lost control over something he thought he owned. What did you do? He spat, saliva flying. The phone's dead. The insurance is gone. Even the damn gym membership. You think this is some kind of joke? Behind him stood Linda, purse clutched to her chest, eyes darting like a trapped animal. And lingering near the stairs were Valerie and Tessa, my aunt and cousin, arms crossed, ready to judge before hearing a single word. The firing squad had arrived. I didn't flinch. Everything I paid for, I said, my voice quiet but laced with steel, I stopped paying for. Howard slammed his palm against the door, trying to shove it open. I blocked it with my foot. His eyes shot past me, landing on Ellie, who peeked out from the hallway, clutching her stuffed unicorn. You're dragging her into this, he snarled. You're poisoning her against us. Turning her into family? I interrupted, and the word came out like a slap. You mean the same family who skipped her birthday because things were tight, then threw a Christmas party with balloon arches and designer gifts for Marissa's kids? Valerie huffed. You're being dramatic, Scarlett. This isn't about. They forgot me, Ellie said. Her voice was small. But it cut through the chaos like a knife. Everyone froze. They forgot me again, she repeated, stepping forward. I waited by the window. I made them drawings. And they forgot me. The hallway went silent. Howard looked away first. Then he scoffed, shaking his head like a cornered animal looking for an exit. Kids don't understand adult responsibilities, he muttered. Bills. Priorities. Real world. Exactly, I cut in. And for years, I covered yours. His face twisted. What the hell are you? The phone plans, I said, stepping fully into the doorway now. The car insurance. The emergency money every time you called crying. The repairs. The bills. The memberships you never even used. Every time you needed something, you called me. And I paid. Without question. Without hesitation. Linda's face went pale. Valerie's mouth opened slightly. Tessa took a half step back. But when Ellie needed you? My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. When she stood at that window on her 7th birthday, waiting for grandparents who couldn't even send a text. You gave her nothing. Howard's jaw clenched. We were busy. Busy celebrating your favorite little ones, I said, each word deliberate. Busy posting about how blessed you were. Busy making my daughter feel invisible. Linda finally spoke, voice thin and shaking. We didn't mean to, you never mean to, I said. But you do it anyway. Over. And over. And over. Howard's rage flared again, desperate now. None of this explains why you shut everything off without warning. Oh, I said, tilting my head. That's not the real crisis, is it? His eyes narrowed. What are you implying? I stepped back inside. Grabbed the manila folder I'd left on the entry table. Returned to the door. Held it out. Howard didn't take it. But his eyes locked on the top page. And his face went white. It's a loan application, I said calmly. In my name. Using my identity. With your address and your phone number. Linda gasped. Valerie's hand flew to her mouth. Tessa whispered, oh my God. Howard stammered, that was a misunderstanding, a simple. You forged my signature, I said. And you took nearly £8,000. Silence. Thick. Absolute. Suffocating. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. You didn't need it as much as we did. The hallway felt colder suddenly, like those words had drained every ounce of warmth from the air. Ellie pressed closer to my leg. I rested my hand on her head. You stole from your own daughter, I said, voice barely above a whisper. And you justified it because you thought I'd never fight back. Howard lunged forward, trying to grab the folder. I pulled it away easily. He wasn't fast enough. He never had been. Not when it came to responsibility. Accountability. Basic human decency. You listen to me, he snarled, voice shaking. If you file anything, if you even think about, I already did. The words landed like a bomb. Howard froze. Linda's knees buckled slightly. Valerie looked like she might faint. Tessa backed fully into the stairwell. I filed a police report yesterday morning, I continued, voice steady. I attached the loan documents. The forged signatures. The bank transfers. Everything. Whatever happens next isn't up to me anymore. Howard stared at me like I'd just told him the world was ending. Maybe I had. You wouldn't. But it wasn't a statement. It was a plea. I met his eyes. Calm. Unshakable. I would do anything to protect my daughter, I said. Even from you. There it was. The power shift. The moment he realized I wasn't his fixer anymore. I wasn't his safety net. I wasn't the scared little girl who said, no problem, while bleeding internally. Ellie tugged my sleeve. Mama, she whispered. Can we close the door now? Yes, baby. I held Howard's gaze one last second, just long enough for the truth to fully sink in. Then I shut the door. This time, he didn't try to stop it. He didn't have the right. The silence after that door clicked shut was almost surreal. Thick. Heavy. But clean, in a way I hadn't felt in years. I locked the deadbolt. Then the chain. Then I picked up Ellie and carried her back to the couch. Are they going to come back? She asked quietly. I don't know, baby. But if they do, they're not getting in. She nodded. Then, after a moment, I'm glad you closed the door, Mama. Me too. Over the next few weeks, my life transformed in ways I never expected. Howard and Linda didn't show up again. No apologies. No explanations. No desperate attempts to fix what couldn't be fixed. Instead, distant relatives sent passive-aggressive texts about family unity and forgiveness. I ignored them. Valerie posted vague inspirational quotes on Facebook about ungrateful children. I blocked her. Tessa tried calling twice, then gave up when I sent her straight to voicemail. But Marissa? Marissa showed up. She came by one evening with groceries, wine, and the first genuine apology I'd heard from anyone in my family. I should have said something years ago, she admitted. I watched them use you. I didn't want to rock the boat. I get it, I said. And I did. For what it's worth, she continued, Dad tried pulling the same loan scam on me 3 years ago. I said no. You didn't get the chance. It wasn't comforting. But it was honest. And honestly? That's all I needed. 2 months later, I got the call. The police had finished their investigation. The evidence was overwhelming: forged signatures, fraudulent applications, identity theft. Howard was facing criminal charges. Linda was named as an accomplice. The loan company agreed to wipe the debt from my record entirely and pursue Howard for repayment. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt free. Life inside our apartment softened in ways I didn't think possible. Ellie started painting again. Big, vibrant swirls of color, so different from the muted tones she'd used before. When her school announced a winter art showcase, one of her pieces was selected for the front display. She stood beside it, hands clasped behind her back, glowing with quiet pride. Her teacher pulled me aside afterward. She has a real gift, you know. I knew. I got a promotion at work too. More responsibility. Better pay. A future that didn't involve bailing anyone else out. Our home felt lighter. Warmer. Free from obligations disguised as love. We weren't missing anything. We were finally whole. Winter came around again. Ellie and I decorated our tree together, the living room glowing with soft yellow lights. She pulled out a new ornament from the box, a tiny gold unicorn she'd saved her allowance to buy. She hung it carefully on a branch. Stepped back. Smiled like she'd just placed the most precious treasure in the world. "Do you like it, Mama?" "I love it," I said. And I meant it. Because standing there, watching her glow in the warmth of our home, I understood something profound. Family isn't defined by who shares your blood. It's defined by who shows up. Who protects. Who loves without conditions or excuses. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who refuse to do any of that. We didn't lose anything when I cut ties with Howard and Linda. We gained peace. We gained freedom. We gained us. If you've ever had to set boundaries with toxic family members. If you've ever chosen your peace over their chaos. If you've ever been the fixer who finally said enough. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. I promise, you're not alone. And if this story hit home for you, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter. Because trust me, there's always another story. And it's always worth telling. I'm Scarlett. And this is what happens when the doormat finally gets up.